What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you for having
You
me.
know what? I didn't realize we even worked together this many years. Doesn't mean you do a good job.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I've never known, so it's perfect.
just slow and steady, but lights out every time.
I hope you know I've been fighting for your business for years now, and I didn't even know it. Right? Like every time an insurance person comes to me, I go like, dude, that ain't my thing. Like, talk to him. Like, I'm not even. They're like, yeah, but dude, let's talk about how we can. I said, listen, dude. I don't have any problems in that area. Why am I gonna make one? You know what I mean?
So stoked. Well, we've worked hard over many years to build our brand and our system.
Dude,
so
that's how good you are.
I'm glad you're reaping the benefits.
I think it's crazy how many people in this industry, and you've been, people don't know this about you, but you've been in the industry since '02 with title rep and all that stuff, like, and you've seen agents and all that thing. It's like, it's crazy how many are always like going to the next, like, oh, let me meet with this person. I'm like, dude, like, just stop meeting with anyone. Unless it's a buyer and seller, stop meeting with anyone. Just stick with what you got. And if you don't have something good, call me and I'll give you the good people.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, no, there's so much value in your team, right?
Yeah.
And sticking with your team. So yeah, no, for sure.
So for you, man, like, obviously you started out in title. What even made you get into title? Because it's like, we've had Anthony Andre on there. You were talking about him before the show, and it's like, title is the most non-sexy thing in the world.
Yep.
No one even knows what title insurance is. I don't think title reps know what title insurance is.
Right.
When you ask them to explain it, they go like, well, it's title insurance. You have to have it. So what was that kind of thing for you to like tell the backstory of people? Because like the one thing I'm learning in life now, and you probably are a great example of this, like there's a lot of people that are super successful and they never thought they were going to be doing it, and it's not sexy.
Absolutely.
But they make really good money and have a really good life. So like, kind of tell the backstory for people to kind of like, you're telling your little story. Why don't you let everyone know?
I'll give you the quick version.
Yeah.
So basically went to college in LA, Cal State Long Beach. I left to surf, so it's close to Huntington and Newport, some killer breaks. And senior year, I needed to grow up and evaluate what I was going to do. And so
thank God you went to college, right?
Honestly, I'm the only one in my agency. I'm co-owner, co-founder of Old Harbor Insurance. We've got 8 employees, and I'm the only one that graduated college. But I can tell you what, I can't spell. I'm not good at math, and my team is always counting.
You're like, but it's on the wall.
Yeah.
It is on the wall. And when people walk in, I go, look at it. I have it.
I tell the team I've got strengths in other areas. All right. But anyhow, I evaluated my family. Who's the most successful? What can I do when I graduate college? Right. I can't surf forever. And I had an aunt who was a title rep in the South Bay. She lived in Palos Verdes. So I was her assistant for a few years.
What year was this?
And learned the business. This was '02.
So she's crushing it.
Oh, crushing it. Oh,
Yeah.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
We were doing like suites at the Staples Center. Like I didn't know any
Can we go
better.
back to that?
Yeah.
Just for like a week. Can we just like, everyone talks about these great times. I got into real estate way too late. Can I
Yeah.
get one pickup in a limo, suite at the Staples Center,
Yeah,
all
right.
night covered? Can we get one of those nights just to go back?
Yeah, that was a different time for sure. But looking back, we were talking about how every chapter of our life refines us and makes us a better version for our next self, right? And when I look back on that time period, I was cutting my teeth learning sales, title sales in an extremely affluent area, right? South County, LA, Palos Verdes. So it was great. It was more valuable than college for sure, right? Doing that. Anyways, worked with her for a few years and then ended up moving back to Temecula. I grew up in Temecula, OG, elementary through high school.
Yeah.
And so I had territory there and worked for Ticor Title for 5 years. And that's where I remember when Anthony Andre came on the scene, and super nice guy. I was not one of the jerk title reps to him back in the day.
Yeah.
But, right around 06, 07, we started to see kind of the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before the show that Ticor is owned by Fidelity. And one of the tools they used for title reps to generate title business was Fidelity had a home insurance product. And they said, hey, as title reps, go out to these real estate brokers and tell them to get their insurance license, and we can give them an appointment with Fidelity Home Insurance, and they could, write some business and make some money that way.
Just trying to cover. I think everyone just was at that point was just hanging on.
Absolutely. And so that really opened my eyes to the residual aspect of insurance. With title insurance, you start at zero every month, and you got to go. But with home insurance and automobile insurance, every time that policy renews, we get that commission again. Now, again, not sexy. It's definitely a greater later game, unlike real estate and mortgage commissions.
Where it's like big up front,
right? Yeah,
slow on the
insurance
backside.
commissions is typically, on average 10 to 12% of the policy. So if the average home insurance policy in our area is right around $1,000, $100 is not going to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
So again, it's that analogy of the snowball, greater later, growing over time, right? And praise God, our snowball's jamming right now, so we're stoked.
Yeah, are you obviously we've seen a little slowdown because of inventory the last few years. How have you guys made that adjustment? Like, obviously we've all seen are people still it's a little different, but in our world everyone's like, "Oh, you've been so lucky to be in real estate." I'm like, "Dude, it's been so hard since." Can I go back to 2017?
Yeah, well, what's funny is 2017, 2018, 2019, it's been nuts. I think because of what we do at Old Harbor Insurance, the way we are systemized and organized, we have a big footprint.
Yeah.
We're licensed in Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, obviously California. So we get a ton of transactions. We do, on average, from 150 to 200 new business transactions a month.
And you have 8 people?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a shout out and testament to my business partner in structuring how we operate our systems, right? We probably have half the staff of a regular agency that would be as large as us, but because we're so smooth and the systems that we have in place that he has built, it runs smooth. And I'm able to kind of, do what I do and do the marketing side of it too. But to your point, I told my team you kind of slowed down a little bit the last couple months, said enjoy it, right?
Live it. Dude, that's what I tell everyone. And get all the things you haven't been able to get done. Get it done now.
It's honestly, it's a normal market.
Yeah.
Right? This is it's seasonal again, right? It's like, winter is a little bit slower. Summer, spring picks up a little bit. So this is enjoyable, but we're still even like, what's today? The 4th of the month or something like that. And we're like, I think we had I want to say 120 policies already booked, new business.
Yeah.
We renew millions, but this is on top of that, the new business. So I think it all comes down to how you're set up and your system is organized.
Taylor, I'm doing a podcast with your insurance guy. Why are you interrupting us?
What's up, TL?
Getting all fired up in the morning.
That's Taylor Loop. I'm telling him about how good of a lobster diver you are, bro.
Yeah, you're the first 15 minutes of the podcast. I was telling stories about high school. He was telling stories about that.
Like a drowning dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I took him lobster diving and he killed it.
All right, later, dude.
So funny.
What's so funny is that's the so funny. The reason, the biggest reason people always ask me like, oh, it's the systems, or everyone thinks modern lending pays me or whatever. Like the reason I work with Taylor is because he is my friend and we work a great relationship of business and friendship where it's the perfect balance and neither one of us can put the hammer down on each other and the next moment it's it's bros out. It's
no fluff, just business.
Just straight businuse.
Yeah, no,
and we're the same person.
Need to be successful.
Yeah, you have to be successful. Like I remember, my first year. I was doing well, and I was house sitting a house like down the street from my office. It overlooked the whole city. It was getting a little crazy up there. You know what I mean? Got me and my fiance just broke up. I was living on a house, overlooked the whole city. I was making money for I was making 19 grand for 10 years. I was actually making money finally. And he called me one day and I was like probably hungover. He's like, "Yo, what up? What are we doing?" And I think I already closed like my first 10 deals like the first 6 months. And I was like, "What?" And everyone's like praising me, I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "We don't got no one shopping right now. What are you doing? What do you got going?" Dude, I'm like, "I'm doing well." He's like, "I don't care. We have no one shopping. We got to get people shopping. Like go out and get us some business." And that's just how it's always been. And we always sit down the first of the month or the first of the year and be like, "This is how much we did last year. How much are we doing this year? What are we doing here?" And then, but we're then friends. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. No, that's killer. And you need those relationships in your life, right?
Yeah.
And you could really value I think of my business partner. We're 8 years deep at Old Harbor. I had the Allstate, after title. I was able to take my 401k and buy an Allstate agency that taught me that no matter what's going on with the economy, recession,
one always needs it.
People needs to pay their auto insurance, and if you have a mortgage, they require home insurance, right? But I didn't like how one-dimensional Allstate was. If you didn't fit into their box, they were either
you out.
super expensive or really, didn't want to insure you. So I was referring all of my clients who were not Allstate appetite to my business partner now. His name is Christian. He worked at a brokerage, and we would go to lunch over hot wings talking about opening our own brokerage one day. And so in 2013, sold the Allstate, opened Old Harbor Insurance. And a lot of times it's funny. People go, that's a rad logo. That's an interesting name. How did you guys come up with it? During that time, I was in my early 30s. He was in his early 20s. We were a couple of young guys. In home insurance, you were insuring a majority of the biggest financial investments of their life. So we've got to be taken serious.
Exactly.
We have to look trustworthy. And so we wanted to seem like we were a couple 80-year-old guys sitting around, fire, smoking pipe tobacco, Old Harbor, not a couple young dogs, right? And so it's worked out, and we've been able to kind of catapult off that too.
It is so interesting how it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but it's like the younger you are, like the older you have to perceive, and so then you're like people ask me now, like, why you don't wear suits anymore? I'm like, dude, I used to have to do that because I used to have to like fake it until I made it.
Right.
Now I've like found my tribe.
Yep.
I know what I'm actually talking about. I spend hours and hours looking at data. So when I now meet with someone, I don't need to sell them on my suit. I just talk to them and I actually know what I'm talking about. But it's like, I remember like being 27, just being like, who the hell is going to trust me to sell their house?
So funny.
Yeah. It's just so hard. Like, and then when young people hit me up, they're like, yo, I want to get into real estate. I'm 21. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's going to be really hard. And they're like, why? I'm like, none of your friends and family are buying or selling in this moment. And what 50-year-old person is going to trust you, a 21-year-old sell their house?
Yep.
And then you wonder why it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about teams in Riverside County, right? There's not a lot of teams going on. And to me, that's such a value. If I was a young individual wanting to get into the industry, even more valuable than going to college, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or an MBA. Like if you could work with a successful team for a year or 2 years, you're going to be a rock star, right?
Yeah.
The knowledge that you learn through the ups and downs, and I mean that's invaluable for sure.
Yeah.
But to your point about having solid relationships, like your relationship with Taylor, my business partner and I, Christian, we complement each other, and we've found tremendous success. But we've looked at each other over the last few years, and we've been like, this is great, and we're well positioned, but we're still young and we have a lot of talent.
Oh yeah.
Let's push it hard and let's see what we can make, right? And so I think we're a lot of insurance agents and probably realtors and mortgage guys. Is you get comfortable, right? You build this business and you're making $100K, $200K, and you're like, cool, let's put it on cruise control. We're going to do the bare minimum. But what you do when that happens is you don't use any of the additional capital. You're using it for your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So instead of me making $100K, $200K and going, rad, I'm going to buy a Escalade and I'm going to buy this dope house and, buy a secondary property. Thank God my business partner, God had connected us together for sure. Like every good marriage, right?
Yeah,
You're connected,
for sure.
It works good. And so right from the jump, we had this uber healthy business plan where we're going, this is our salary that we're going to fit our lifestyles into, and anything extra we're going to put back into the business, right? And so year after year, we're making this work. And I want my wife to drive an Escalade, but hey, a brand new Honda Pilot is just as cool, right?
And it has 9 seats, I think the new one does.
It does for sure. And so again, we look back, 8 years in the making, and this snowball evolution. Now we have the capital. We're healthy, right? Whereas most business or entrepreneurs, they're not healthy, and you can't invest back into your business. So again, I probably would have blown it, for
sure. It's so hard not to. I think that's the thing. Like everyone's like, oh, if I just made $50,000 a year more, I'm like, dude, you spend it.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm like, you spend the money you have now.
Yeah.
You'll spend if you make another 50. It's never enough. You always find a reason to spend. It's funny. Like I just signed up for the coaching program. Actually, today's the first call, but I missed it. And this guy was like, dude, it's like $4,500. He DM'd me about it. I'm like, so? I'm like, how much does one deal make you?
Yep.
If this program gets you one deal, it doubles my investment. I'm like, if you can't invest $4,500 in yourself, then why are you shocked your business doesn't grow at all?
Oh yeah.
Like I've already spent like $15,000 on coaching programs this year. It's like you have to. Like I'm 6 years in, and I might have all of this, but like I feel so like. What's the word I'm looking for? Just so still like so young in it, and I have so much to learn. And I hope everyone realizes who's ever on my podcast, like I use this for like my mastermind. And it's funny, every successful person I talk to, it's the same freaking story.
I love it.
They have some story where they had to be resilient, right? Resilient. And they have some story to be resilient. And then they always find someone to partner up with, or they pay someone to coach with or mentor. And it's like, And that's how they are all successful. It's
yeah.
always the same story. It's not anything different.
There's the formula.
There's the secret sauce.
You need to charge for this podcast now.
For sure. Let's chop that, Adrian, make that $20 coaching class. But it's interesting how it's always the same thing, you know, and it's crazy that everyone I know who's unsuccessful always makes the same mistakes that all the other unsuccessful people make.
Yeah, no, I think one element of it in that regard is that you need to understand your strengths, but even more so your weaknesses.
100%.
Right? And outsource your weaknesses. And so that's what we've done. Like everything that he brings to the table that I can't do is fantastic, and we would not be as successful. But in turn, he can't go out in the streets and rock the mic and establish new relationships with mortgage companies and realtors, right? And that is a testament to my title days, right? To cutting my teeth in the title.
Yeah, because titles sucks.
Oh, yeah. No, Anthony had talked about it's a
grind. And I feel
bad
bad for title reps because it is such a grind for them. And then, like, do you struggle with, and me and Anthony and I have talked about, but, like, you are successful, but do you ever feel weird showing your success?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Isn't that crazy?
It is
Everyone,
crazy.
So whenever I see people online posting private jets, they're posting the cars, they're posting this, I'm like, dude, you're probably a phony.
Yeah, no, a flex, right?
You're flexing. Everyone who's true successful like hates flexing.
I'm super tactful and intentional about what we post, and I try not to flex, and I think it's important because you never know, right? I lived through the recession, like
you never know. We're all
never
6
know.
months away.
I feel like my grandparents through the depression, right?
I'm putting money under
this.
That's what happened to my grandpa. Dad. My grandpa passed away 3 years ago. He literally was like he had cancer. He gave me a map to his house. He's like, go. That's where that's where the money's at.
But honestly, that's where we get our grit and our drive,
Yeah.
right? Because I can think back during that recession, and even though it worked out and Allstate carried us, there were tough times, right? I remember having to sell crap on Craigslist with my wife to buy our kids Christmas presents, right? And I love to share that with new entrepreneurs and new business partners because it's not like, to your point, it's not always flexing. Look at my private jet. It's, dude, did you sell stuff on Craigslist to have to buy Christmas presents?
Dude.
And I wear that as a badge of honor, right?
Sure.
Like I appreciate every story, every fail, every win. And
it makes you appreciate the wins more. And I think that's the thing that I hate most about the day and age we live in now is that I'm very interested to see if we go into a recession this time.
Oh, it's on.
How people handle not being able to flex on social media.
Yeah.
Because the last time our parents and those age didn't have to deal with presenting themselves on social, that like, how do you flex now when you lose your car or you can't go on trips or you can't have the nice things anymore? And I think that's the thing. And if your identity is that,
right,
who are you now?
Right, 100%. Yeah, exactly. And it's scary, right? Like I could tell, like it's very reminiscent. First of all, I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as a, for many reasons. And we know all the statistics, buyers, inventory. There's just all of these elements that it's not going to be as gnarly. It's going to get tougher. Deals are going to get tougher, and the cream is going to rise to the top. That's for sure.
You definitely have to find people that are wanting to buy and sell. They really want to buy and sell.
But you can tell it's coming. I was just telling my business partner the other day, this reminds me of 06, 07, 08, when all of these young dogs and even old dogs are driving supercars. I'm like, I've never seen so many supercars around. Like everyone's got a Lambo or something going on. That's scary. That reminds me of right before the recession too.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Is like it's so funny. I bought a Range Rover this year for tax reasons.
Yep.
Only for tax reasons.
Right.
Like I didn't even want the car. So when I bought it, the guy's like, "What are you looking for?" I'm like, "Is it over 6,000 pounds?" Yes. Okay, then I'll buy it.
Yep.
And so then people are like, "Oh, bro, you gotta." I'm like, "Bro, I would trade this in for a Chrysler 300 because that's the best car I've ever driven, dollar for dollar."
There's nothing wrong with having a rad car, right?
No,
it's awesome. Like I'm not a big car guy, but I think they're cool, and I think if you've earned it and if it makes sense tax wise, it's a no brainer. Right?
You have to do it tax wise. I think that's the thing that I try to strive with. It's everything I buy. It's not wasted money.
Yep.
I bought this car for tax reasons. I buy this equipment and bought this podcast room because I want to use it. I have a $5,000 whiteboard touchscreen so I can shoot videos every day.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm not a watch guy.
Yeah,
I'm not a clothes guy.
Yeah.
This was a $14 T-shirt. Like
I
don't
did-
waste that money.
I did upgrade my baby mama, my wife.
Yeah.
She now has a brand new 2022 Tahoe Z71 with black wheels, and
I almost bought that.
that thing's sick. I call it
I almost
Ronda
bought-
Rousey.
Did you do the tax write-off for that?
Heck yeah,
Yeah,
man.
dude,
It's the Z71 with
Yeah.
black wheels, and I call it Ronda Rousey because it's like sexy, but she'll knock you out.
Dude,
that
that
Z71
thing is-
Tahoe.
Only reason I didn't buy that car was I live in an apartment down the street, and I'm like, dude, trying to get this in and out of the garage will be so hard.
No bueno.
It's so like, it's a big car. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's way bigger than the old ones. It feels bigger. I don't know
Yep.
if it is bigger, but it definitely feels bigger. I think that's the struggle that I think all of us have is that balance of not flexing or not showing because like, sadly, people do want to see us fail. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. The podcast, for me, like the podcast or this and that, like I have people all the time like, bro, like you only got this amount of views. I'm like, I don't even care,
Who cares?
dude. Why
Yeah.
are you looking at that?
Yeah,
you know? So moving forward for you, like, what is the plan for the company to keep growing? Is it more systems in place? Is it just going out and building more relationships? Is it growing more markets? Like, what is the plan for you guys?
You know, there's a lot of elements. And when it comes to insurance, there's end game too, right? You think about, we could sell to a larger entity or venture capitalist or whatever. So we're always kind of have that mind
On the back burner, yeah.
Exactly. Or it can be a generational business, right? This thing is just so big and running so smooth that we could maybe plug in, our children or whoever. But honestly, I've lost track of that. Last year, the year before, maybe we were focused on that, and we're definitely focused on hyper growth right now. But I had some realtors in Idaho. Actually, we've got an office in Idaho too. That I met with a few months back, and he was asking me, he's like, "Why are you still working this hard? Or why are you still out here, hustling?" And I was thinking about it. It's like it's not so much about the destination for me right now. It's about the journey. It's so cool that we get to
what
hang
else are you
out
going to be
here
doing?
and-
What else are you going to be doing? I always love that. What else are you going to be? You can only serve so much. Like people go like, I would play golf every day. Yeah, you say that, but you can only play so much golf.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I'm thinking about even just the whole like element of giving back.
It's
right?
exciting.
Like what I can share with some of these, young lenders or young realtors or young insurance guys, whoever, right? And I think we are lucky to be in a position at Old Harbor where we don't have to sell insurance. We do because we're focused on growth. But we don't have to sell. And when we do that, it makes it organic.
It makes it easier.
And we're able to give people good advice, right? And it's like, hey, this is what I would do. You need a $5 million umbrella because you've got a lot of assets, right? You need to have personal injury because, you could get sued for online comments.
Yeah.
And when we're able to really give organic advice, our clients love it, and it makes us better agents overall, right?
I think that's the biggest struggle working with newer agents, especially only in real estate. It's like they need to do that deal to make their monthly payments or whatever. And I think that's the thing, because then at that point, like Grant Cardone says, poor people are the most selfish people in the world because they can only worry about themselves. And like, so that's the thing I always warn people, like, cool, you're working with your mom's best friend or your best friend, your wife's best friend who just got her license. Like, if this deal goes south and she needs that money, is she gonna look out for what's best for you?
Right.
You cannot say she will, because as humans we have survival mode. So it's very difficult when people go like, I just want to help people in this industry. Okay, that's true. But when you have no money and you have a $15,000 commission check sitting on the wall, and requests for repairs come in, and the seller says no, or you have the ability to tell your clients, you know what, we're walking.
Yep.
Do you? A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't.
What's interesting is that when you're able to do that and operate from that capacity, that you get even more business.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, because you think, I'm going to lose this deal, or I'm going to miss out on this commission, but you just, you gain so much more when you operate like that in the long run, right? Instead of, like you said, deal to deal to deal.
I think that's why I've never even asked for business one time online, and then people are like, "How does social work so for you?" I'm like, I don't ask for business. I give information to people. I make the same video. Bad time to buy, great time to buy. Terrible time to sell, great time to sell. I make both the videos, so I allow my followers to decide which one they are, not me deciding who they are. Like, I get so pissed when people are like, they threw their opinion out there, but no stats to back it up.
Yep.
If you have stats to back up your topic, even if you're wrong, then I'd still respect you because you have numbers. Like, there's a guy I follow on YouTube who, like, the market's always crashing. That's how he always posts this because it gets more views online. But then, like, I look at his stats. I'm like, okay, I agree with that part of the stats. I agree how those numbers make. But those numbers can also be used for this and then that. But if no one knows real estate, they could be like, oh my God, the market's crashing. So
Totally. Yeah,
yeah.
no, exactly. Yeah, same
Do you
thing.
guys put out a lot of content online?
We do a fair amount. Yeah, we do fun videos. I just did a really cool video with my daughter about with our horses. We've got 2 horses. We've got a little ranch in
Bless your
Temecula,
heart.
and about how home insurance covers, animal liability, right?
Oh,
If your
okay.
dog bites someone,
Yeah.
if your horse kicks someone, and that's why it's so important to make sure the insurance company that you have will cover that specific animal. Certain dog breeds don't qualify.
What about corgis? Do corgis too?
They're pretty gnarly, and they're like on everyone's excluded dog list.
Yeah, I
but
know.
no, just kidding. They're all good.
Yeah. So people always like, man, why do you have corgis? I'm like, because you know what? They're so small that like I would hate to have I'm scared to have big dogs because like the liability. Like even if they're the nicest dogs in the world, if something happens, like if you have a 125-pound dog, they're taking down someone.
You know what's crazy too is you can imagine we see just crazy claims. One of the craziest of recent was I had a client in Temecula whose dog was on a leash in their garage. Garage door was open. Dog could not leave the garage, right? The leash was limited. And a neighbor was riding her bike down the street, not even on the sidewalk. Dog barked at the lady. She crashed her bike and sued my client.
Really?
And so again, it doesn't even have to be a big dog, right?
I know.
People are crazy. The best thing you can do to offset that is just have good coverage so you have confidence, right?
Yeah.
Most insurance agents will sell the bare minimum. They want to win based on price, right? And price is important. I want to make sure we get a competitive price, but even more important is that coverage integrity, right? So we issue $500,000 or $1 million policies on home insurance. Depending on the client, we will suggest that umbrella for additional liability over the top. But one big element, I think, in terms of success and systemizing your business that really kind of took us to the next level was I've created custom videos. So we quote with our lender partners and we'll send those quotes out, but I've got custom videos that explain home insurance to the buyers and borrowers.
Yeah.
And we've done custom videos for manufactured homes, for condos, for, your traditional home insurance, and just me taking the time. It's right around a minute. What's included with your home insurance is the biggest financial investment of your life. Fires included, wind damage, internal water damage. What's not included? Earthquake, external flood. And so just that element.
Can you give me those videos?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That element just really helps expedite the buyer's consent. And as you know, in an escrow transaction, time is of the essence, right? So the last thing I want the lender team and escrow team to be worrying about is the buyer dragging their feet on that home insurance and dealing with AAA or USAA that's going to take 3 days to turn around.
And and buyers don't get that. And as an agent, you need to be the person that guides your client through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like everything in life, it's about knowledge and understanding and education. Because I have so many times where I've talked to clients and they're like, oh, what do I pay for insurance for? And, people get rubbed the wrong way about insurance, specifically home insurance. And so it's like my mission to communicate with them how to use it tactfully. And I think people think about home insurance and they're used to auto insurance. Oh, I got a busted windshield, file a claim. Oh, someone bumped into me, file a claim, right? And it's different with home insurance. With home insurance, you want to think of it like life insurance, right? Well, home insurance and life insurance, the same thing. It's something you got to have for peace of mind, right? But you hope to God you never have to use it, right? Either of them. And that's the same way you want to leverage that home insurance, right? You don't want, if you file claims with home insurance, not only do your rates go up, obviously your mortgage goes up, right? Because it's tied to your impound account. But also if you have 2 or more claims filed against your home within a 3-year window period, most of the preferred carriers will non-renew you. We'll have a option for you, but it'll be just crazy expensive. So again, it's my job to educate these buyers like how to use the home insurance, right? If it's minor losses, something under 2,500, under 5,000 even for most of our clients, right? It's like pay out of pocket, right? You don't want to use that get out of jail free card. Save it for a kitchen fire, a slab leak, and floods a whole house when you're on vacation. That's when it makes sense. Otherwise, people, don't understand how to use it. And oftentimes they think it's like a home warranty.
They just call it for everything. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So again, that's kind of what
I get that call all the time. This broke. Okay, we'll call home warranty. I'm like, but do I call my home insurance? I'm like, no, it's like, that's one thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think that's, I think the biggest thing is nowadays what I'm feeling, you've been around a lot longer. You've been before the internet, really.
Yep.
Like, people just want to do their own research now. Yep. And we have to educate everyone and allow them to kind of make their own decision. I think that's the new way to sell in this day and age, is because everyone's going to Google everything now. So you better know what you're talking about, you better be the front line of the information to your clients or followers or whatever, because you don't know who they're going to go on the internet and find first.
Absolutely.
And if you're not first, then you don't get to control the narrative.
Right. Yeah. I think the saying is you don't have to be the best, you just have to be first. Right. And so again, a accolade to my business partner. He just writes a tremendous, blogs all over the internet. And I have this footprint in the real estate and mortgage industry that is, tried and true. But in addition, we always have alternative funnels that are feeding our business too, right? I'll give you some examples. And I think this is super smart. I always tell our real estate partners, you need to do this niche business, right? Or niche. I don't know. People pronounce it different ways. Anyways, but we found tremendous success in marketing on short-term rental properties, right? They're wildly popular.
Yeah.
But when they first rolled out maybe 5 years ago, they're still relatively new.
The new thing.
The term of short-term, right? The insurance companies were like, short-term? What? This is freaky. We don't know how to insure.
We don't want to handle this.
We don't want to do it. So at that time, there was maybe 3 companies that were insuring short-terms, and they were horrendous coverage. The coverage was booty, and the cost was atrocious. It was like, $3,000, $4,000. But as the years rolled on, the major insurance companies could see that they were not
as scary as they were.
Exactly. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of risk involved. And so we've got huge companies like Liberty Mutual and Mercury Insurance that have killer short-term options, and no one knew this. So we took advantage of that and just did some online marketing, wrote a ton of blog posts about it, and just generated tremendous growth. We had to shut that off. We did that for like a year and a half, and we shut it off because we were getting like 20 deals a day coming in. And at that point, it was about filtering to the quality of referrals, right? But because those new insurance products that came out later, they were cheap. They were like $500, $800 policies versus, the $3,000. And they were very, very comprehensive. They offered great coverages. And so, again, being first in marketing, that generated a ton of growth. High fire stuff. We were talking about high fire a little bit, and a lot of insurance agents are running away from high fire in the California Fair Plan, where we're running head straight into it, right? And we want to be dynamic for our clients to be able to offer those options too.
That's probably our biggest issue I've learned is like when we're going after things in fire zone, and it always seems like right after a big fire, then I'm like, like after big fire season, and I have a client that wants to buy in the fire, like a fire area, I'm like, we're done. Like the insurance is gonna be so much. No one's gonna insure them. They're gonna want to go with AAA or something like that. It's gonna kill the deal. We actually just had a deal. We were gonna buy a house I was gonna buy a duplex in Chattanooga, and the only reason we didn't, it was like in 100% flood zone. And the insurance was like $250 a month. I was like, well, nope.
Well, it's I think it comes down to it's a combination of things. It's definitely the realtors understanding this. So many times I have deals where I'm called in to try to fix it because to your point, the insurance is just going to kill the deal. I've had many clients where they wanted to back out because they're like, we're going to be able to find insurance moving forward and years moving forward, and I don't know if I want to buy in high fire zones. And so I think you have to understand the whole scope, right? So first of all, insurance companies, they're in business to make money, like all of us, right?
Oh, of course.
And so we've had consistent year after year of wildfires, right? And in other parts of the country, flooding and tornadoes and whatnot. And so if they're paying out billions, the insurance companies, not millions, but billions, right? In these wildfire claims, look at Paradise, California, right? The whole town burned down. Then they can't even stay in business, let alone profitable, right?
Exactly.
So they're going, what the heck do we need to do? So they're either jacking rates up, crazy rates.
Or just not doing it.
Right? And so this is why it's so important as a realtor, if you have a client that's maybe looking in areas like that, critical areas, to communicate with your buyers up front. Say, hey, this is gorgeous, Big Bear, right? Or Arrowhead or Tahoe or wherever. And say, just know going into this, there are options, right? But it's gonna be expensive. And so if cost is a major element, maybe that's something they need to chew over more, right? So having that conversation with the buyer up front, and then also too, I tell my real estate partners is there are products, they're guaranteed coverage, right? Because a lot of times they go, we don't know if we're going to find coverage. You can find coverage. In the state of California, they have the California Fair Plan. It's been around since the 60s. It's nothing new. And what that is in the state of California, we are all regulated by the Department of Insurance, and the insurance companies like Mercury, Nationwide, Farmers, State Farm, everyone. They all have to adhere to the Department of Insurance regulations. And one of the many regulations they place on these major insurance companies is they all have to fund the California Fair Plan. Okay. So they're feeding into this California Fair Plan bucket. So it's not ideal. You don't want to lead with that, right? We want to find any other option other than the California Fair Plan. But if no one is willing to insure it, we have this product. So I tell my realtor partners, have confidence in knowing that
you always will have something.
We're going to have something. And what I tell them is, I don't expect you to remember all of these details, right? That the California Fair Plan is fire only, and you've got to pair it with a difference in condition policy that has been around since the 60s. Don't remember that. Just know that you've got a partner in the industry that are experts, and then we've got your back. Yeah. And so having that confidence in the relationship.
How much time did it take you to kind of dive into knowing, are you still spending like I try to spend at least an hour a day like going through articles. It definitely helps when we shoot our news video. That's kind of that helps me like learn real estate and learn all the new things that are going on. Like for you, do you lean more on your business partner from that, and your job is more to go get out, or are you consciously always trying to spend time learning the new things about insurance that changes it so that it helps you when you do go out to people?
Both. Our motto, our mantra, my partner Christian and myself, is constant evolution and constant refinement. And we're always, you've never arrived, right? You always want to educate yourself. You always want to get better. So we are insurance brokers. We represent multiple carriers, over 50 now, right? Instead of just when I was an Allstate agent, it was
just
that one single product. And so we're constantly bringing on new insurance products that are going to help us assist our clients, right? Maybe they're more liberal in high fire zones, and we can insure clients to that end. But also just being involved in the transactions too. I love that.
Are you still doing transactions?
I'm not quoting.
Yeah.
I'm not quoting, and that's because my team is 10 times better than me on that. But I do like being involved with putting out fires. We had talked about the buyer that I had a realtor over the weekend call me because the buyer wanted to back out of a transaction because the Clue report, right? When you run a quote for home insurance, it runs a report on the history of claims for that house. And the Clue report had a couple claims that showed up: a fire and I think a water damage and a theft. And so she called me. They don't want to buy it. They're afraid of the Clue report, in AAA, who they got the report from, is not telling them any details and they're not helpful. Can you talk them through it? So stuff like that, I love getting involved in. I love talking through it, and it really keeps me engaged. In that specific instance, there was a fire. It was like a $8,000 loss, and I was telling the clients were concerned that there was structural damage or issues. I was like, it was a toaster fire. Like I did some digging, and it was a toaster fire in the kitchen. It was smoke damage. If it was anything substantial, it would be minimum $50,000.
Yeah.
Okay, minimum. And so at $8,000,
that's like, that doesn't look right.
And what it is the remediation companies that come in and will fix the flood or fix smoke damage. Those dudes are like pirates, right? And so it was probably only like a $500. I could have probably got in there with a sponge and
just wiped it down.
That, a little Febreze, and we're back to normal. But the remediation companies will run that bill up, and it was $8,000. So
because the insurance paying for it.
But breaking down those details and giving that buyer confidence and moving forward with that transaction, this is why it's so important to align with quality partners in the industry, right? That you had referenced in the beginning. You want to stay with your core crew, and if it ain't broken,
and keep it all the same. And I think that's the thing is, like, if we can keep the standard transaction the same, then we only have to deal with the hiccups. And if there's no hiccup, then the deal kind of runs itself.
We found wild success with that exact element in what you just said. When we were early on in Old Harbor, we were doing commercial insurance. We were doing some health insurance. And when we said, nope, we're only going to focus on personal lines, home and auto, and we're going to blow it out of the park. We're going to hit nothing but home runs. Yeah, we lost money on some of these commercial deals, but it doesn't matter because we've made 10x because we're experts now in our space, in this home insurance. And our hashtag is Home Insurance Legends. I put that on everything. Yeah. And in auto and umbrella. So yeah, to your point, if you can focus on something specific, you're not going to get watered down with some of the white noise.
Everyone has this stigma about brokers in the mortgage world, that it's slower, it's not as good. Obviously, for us working with Modern Lending, like, they have all their systems in place, and I don't see a hiccup at all. I'll put them versus Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America any day of the week.
Yep.
But like for you guys, because you're dealing with 50 other insurance brokers, was there a time, or is there ever a time still, where they're kind of dragging you guys down? Because like that's the thing that people don't get. It's not the brokers sometimes, it's the actual main company.
Yeah, the insurance company.
So for you guys, like obviously you say All-Star, and like, how do you guys defend about that? Because some people might be like, oh, well, brokers are slower than if I just go to the main company.
Yeah, no, that's not the case at all. Obviously, you've worked with brokers on the mortgage side and insurance side, and
I didn't even know. See, there you go.
Honestly, I don't think it's so much. It is a broker versus a captive thing, but more so it's about that specific individual, right? Individuals like Taylor Loop or like Carlo Diaz at Old Harbor, and how they operate their business, how serious and
that's who we work with.
They take their transactions, right? And so another analogy that I love to share in that regard is that if you're needing to buy shoes, you can go on Nike.com, right, and buy a pair of shoes. But if you go on Amazon, you're going to find Nikes and 50 different other pairs, right? Shoes that you've never heard of before, right? New Balance, and you're going to have more options. And that's what you get with the broker side, right? That it's more dynamic. You might find a product that's going to fit your specific financial needs. But more so, again, to your point, it's about that individual business owner. And I want to not only earn your business, but I want to retain future business.
Yeah.
So we're going to be lights out every single time.
So I think so funny when people I love when people in my world are like, man, like we just keep getting beat. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I want you to get a house. I want to get paid too. Like I don't make anything, or like I want the highest dollar for my house to sell. Yeah, me too. I want the high. Like everyone wants this to happen.
Right.
So when people think that like we don't want it to happen, I always have to remind them like I only get paid when this happens.
Yep.
And I want to do an amazing job, so then your future business down the road, and you refer people.
Yep.
Like I don't understand like how people they get so emotional.
Yeah.
Or they get so upset. Like that's something that people are gonna have to realize. We're now gonna go in a market where your house is not gonna sell in the first weekend, and you might have to do a price drop, and it's not. It is what it is. It has no control as an agent. I cannot force someone to buy your house, but it's like I want this house to sell in one day and for the highest price possible, because then my job is easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's gonna get this is when I had a client. Their house is in Winchester and it's not going great. And this is like the first time since 2020, maybe 2018, to be honest, that the house didn't sell in the first 21 days. And I go, you know what? You guys are lucky. And so they're like, why? And I go, now I'm really working for my money. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, so like I've had sellers like sell in the first weekend 20 or 50 over. And they're like, whoa, this is just moving so fast. They're like, isn't that what you want? Like, there's no way to keep people.
Well, that's good though. I'm happy to hear that, because you do learn a lot when you're doing high reps in transactions, but you learn so much more when they're hard, right?
They're harder.
When it's slow. And,
they're tough.
And this is going to give you peace of mind moving forward in
that
your
is
career.
easier.
What to expect
when rates drop back down.
Well, what to expect, right? What to expect. Okay, we punched through that, and this is when the market is looking like this.
This is the way you survive. If you can get through the hard time, then when everyone leaves the industry or the market, whatever market you're in, and you stay, you then steal up all that market share.
Totally. Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The low time is when you'll make maybe not the most money, but after the slow time, you'll make the most money. If you still show up every single day, it's like when COVID hit. We showed up every single day. Even when we couldn't show a house, we showed up every day to the office. We made content every single day. Yeah, play a little bit more Mario.
Yep.
But we showed up every day and made videos.
Oh, yeah. I love, my favorite podcast is Resilient, but one of my second favorite podcasts is Business Wars. I don't know if you listen to Business Wars. Pretty cool. And there was they did an episode on Hershey versus Mars bars, right? These two candy bars. And they were talking back in the day during the Great Depression, how Hershey was the biggest chocolate company in our nation. And they were greatly affected by the Depression because of chocolate costs, right? So they had to pull back on their marketing. They pulled back on everything. But Mars saw that, and they went hard. They went even harder. They doubled down on marketing, and they beat Hershey during that gap, and they became the top chocolate factory or chocolate brand in the United States. Super interesting podcast.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Yep.
Every person who's successful, who's older than you, has gone through a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
That is the difference between successful and non-successful people. You will go through a hard time. You will be broke. What you're doing doesn't work. You have to figure it out. It's who shows up the next day. I love when people go like, how does social work for you? I'm like, I post every day. I go, you wouldn't know I haven't closed a deal in the last 60 days, do you? They're like, no. I go, yeah, because I post every single day. You're not watching my platform to see how many deals you're closing. You're watching my platform to see real estate information. So you don't know if I sold a house or not. But if you only post when you put something in escrow, so like I just closed a house and put a house in escrow, I still haven't even made the post about it, because that's like the last thing I care about posting, because no one really cares about that.
Yeah, no.
While someone else got a house, that doesn't help me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I think about this. I've listened to a few of your episodes and talked about how you guys referenced the point that some of the top producers, right, real estate mortgage, they don't even have social media.
They don't even have social media.
They don't. And it's like, I do think there is a big element of social that aids, right, to your overall business, right? And definitely, if you didn't do social, you could still be successful. But when you add social,
it's just that extra passive.
Exactly. But again, to your point, to y'all's point, is that you've got some titans in the game. And I'm like, why doesn't this dude have social?
But then the thing is, they don't need to have it. And I wouldn't have it if I didn't need to have it.
Yeah.
If I had this huge database that
Yeah.
I could just send Christmas cards or birthday cards to every year and get a referral off of
Uh-huh.
them, I would, but
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
why I
yeah.
gotta do it this way. So, man, I appreciate the time. It's good to know we've been working together for this many years. I had no clue.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's the thing that I hope people got out of this podcast is like when someone's doing a great job, you won't know who you're working with, one. And two, everyone goes through a hard time.
Oh yeah.
And I bet when you went from Allstate and sold that to start your own company, it was definitely scary.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to go through some scary times.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing that everyone needs to realize. Like, this shit's scary.
Uh-huh.
And so if you know someone who owns a business, it is scary for them. And you'll never know if they have $5,000 in their pocket or $100,000. I think that's the one thing COVID did teach us.
Oh yeah.
All these restaurants that people probably thought like, oh, that dude's probably like, that guy
Balling.
owns that restaurant. He's probably balling out.
Mhm.
They couldn't even last 1 month with
Oh,
no
yeah.
business.
Yep.
They ran dry
Uh-huh.
and they closed their shop forever.
Yeah, that's a
we're
bummer.
all one big mistake
Mhm.
away.
Oh yeah.
So you got to be really careful, make your bets, save your money, keep growing. Because like you said, if you stop growing
Absolutely.
and then all of a sudden you get kicked in the face one day, you're like,
yeah.
well, shoot.
Yeah,
know?
you got to be cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I love that.
Do you ever struggle being? Are you a very positive guy or very pessimistic?
I'm crazy positive. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm relentlessly optimistic to
Okay.
you know. But again, that's my business partner is the other half.
He's
He's
also-
he's the realist. He said, oh,
yeah.
we need to
Yeah, I think I go like back and forth. Like the problem with me is positivity is not funny. Sarcastic bitterness is funny. So people be like, dude, you're a negative guy. I'm like, dude, I'm super happy. I'm here in my office every single day. I'm way more positive than you are. But positivity is just not funny. Like
Yeah.
it is funnier to be like, whatever. But positivity's great. I'm super positive. I wouldn't be here every day if I wasn't positive, if I didn't believe in this. But that doesn't make people laugh. No one goes like, yeah, crush it Monday. You know what I mean? Like, let's get out there and crush it Monday. No one goes like, oh, that's funny. Do you ever worry about what you post online? I know I was going to wrap this up, but
I do.
that's always a question I like asking people.
I do. I actually do. And whenever I kind of second guess it, I'm like, yeah, just send it out. I want to be authentic, right? And I think when you try to curate too much of your content, then it's not authentic anymore, right? And it's not going to resonate. So I think. And sometimes I think maybe I go overboard because I do try to blend solid insurance insight, right? Like you want to carry a $2,500 home insurance deductible, right? For that savings and never file a claim under that. But then I'll post a video of me surfing, in Carlsbad or at the skateboard park with my son. But I think that's what you need. You need the combination of, hey, yeah, work hard. Hey, understand these important facts, but also live life too. And don't take it too serious, right?
Well, I think that's the thing. People need to realize, like, if you take this so serious, you can last a year, you can maybe last 2, you can maybe last 3, but sooner or later you will hit the wall.
Oh yeah.
The wall is always there.
Yep.
You have to like keep that balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to do what you want to do.
Yep. Think about the long game.
And if you love it, you'll keep pushing through the hard times.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Man, I appreciate your time. Make sure if you're in insurance, hit my boy up. He'll be tagged in this podcast. Like I said, I've been working with them for years. They do a great job. Didn't even know it. That's how great they do.
Old Harbor Insurance.
That a boy. Make sure you build the right team around you. The sooner you build the best team around you, the more successful you'll be. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.